I felt very angry because the footage that everyone saw in the film is not what this is. It's not how we farm and care for our hens. I have no qualms about, how we manage and care for our hens. The industry and the farming methods that we work with here at Mainland Poultry. I've worked in this industry for all of my working life, and I feel I'm passionate about animal welfare. I work with some very passionate people. Our stockmen, our managers really care and take pride in what they do, and I know they all found it extremely upsetting, the video footage that they watched last week. I'm Lorna Craig, I'm Technical Manager for Mainland Poultry, and I'm responsible for compliance, auditing, looking after the quality of our products and obviously the welfare of our hens. I'm standing in the shed that the Animal Action people were in for the filming that came out last week. What we're looking at are 27-week-old birds. These hens would have been around 24 weeks when the filming took place. What I see are some exceptionally well-feathered hens, bright eyes, nice red combs, and they're very relaxed, as you can see now, that they're not frightened or distressed with all of us here today.
I look after most of the layer hens in this country from a veterinary point of view, and including Mainland Poultry, who I have been worked for the past 12 or 13 years and have a pretty good knowledge of all their flocks. I visited the Forest Hill farm on the 6th of October, which is for a annual audit in compliance with the Animal Welfare Code, which I do for all the mainland farms every year. I was asked by Lorna Craig, the Technical Services Manager of Mainland Poultry, to visit the farm to reconfirm my findings of a month earlier. Well, the birds that I saw in October were in an acceptable condition. The birds that I saw yesterday were in an acceptable condition. Yesterday we concentrated more on the birds in shed 1, which are very young and in very good condition. The birds in that footage that were highlighted and pointed to are certainly not 17-week or 23-week-old hens. I would imagine that some of those birds were either introduced to the cages or the footage had been shot elsewhere.
I'm standing at the front of where the manure belt is, which is about 1 metre in front of where the hens' cages start. This belt runs all the way underneath the cages to the far end of the shed, and this is where the drop-ins fall onto and are removed at the far end. Well, the difference between the Animal Action footage and what you clearly see here is that there are no eggs on the manure belt. It's physically impossible for eggs to get onto this belt unless someone has actually put them there.
The feather loss in the birds in the direct Animal Action video was of a number of types. There was one particular bird where the person was pointing at its crop, and it looked like a rather old bird with totally featherless on its front and over its crop, which was somewhat pendulous. Then there were other footage of birds losing their feathers on their backs, and then yet more of the birds appeared to have gone through a molt, in that there was a lot of the black feather buds coming out of the skin is typical of birds that have gone through a molt. Well, obviously, if the birds are 24 and 16, 17 weeks of age, they're not going to have gone through a molt. Yesterday, we also had a look at some 78-week-old birds in one of the other houses at Forest Hill Farms, and these birds showed fairly typical worn feathers, not feather loss, worn feathers from a bit of abrasion that takes place over a laying life of some 60 weeks. Loss of feathers is not unusual. It's related to the hormonal activities of high intensity laying, whether this takes place in a conventional cage, a colony cage, or free-range environment.
Because we try and ad-lib feed our hens, and the hens have always got feed in front of them, this obviously attracts in rodents, and this is why we have so many contracted bait stations to help us manage rodents and ensure they're kept to a manageable level. But where there's feed, there will always be some rodents.
The farm does have an issue with mice, but in response to that, it's fair to say that that farm has got a more intense rodent control program than any that I have seen on any farm in the country. The number of bait traps is much higher, and the visits by the company contracted to carry out the rodent control are more frequent than they are on any other farm that I know of.
This is the manure pit, the dirty end of the operation, but it's also an important part of the operation because it's important for the environment in the shed that we remove the manure, and it's done at least twice a week. This is how it was when it was being filmed. We obviously have a company protocol of how to manage mortalities, and they're put into black bags, then they're put into a freezer. We've taken this opportunity to instigate some refresher training with Neil Christensen on bird handling and welfare and our protocols. We have no explanation for the dead birds that were seen in the video.
The cages are old, particularly shed one. They're about 25 years of age, and to meet the requirements of the welfare code, the birds have to be out of there by the end of 2018, and in fact these birds that have gone in there now are going to be the last inhabitants of those cages.
Well, these well cared for hens will be the last flock of hens in this shed. The farm is being decommissioned by the end of next year. This decommissioning the farm was planned from when the code was released in December 2012. So this is the age of these cages meet the first transition timeline at the end of December 2018. I've been a vegetarian since my very young life. I'm very passionate about animal welfare, and I have absolutely no qualms or no concerns. My conscience is clear. I'm happy to work in this industry, for this business, for this company, and know that we look after our hens with the utmost care. They are absolutely devoted to caring for their livestock, producing a quality product, and above all, we are all proud to be part of Mainland Poultry and working in the egg industry.